Hi there, everybody. I'm Jason Augustus Newcomb, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about my Kabbalistic pathworking recordings that I sell on my site, jasonaugustusnewcomb.com. I believe there's a link in this video that you can get there if you want to check them out a little bit more as well. And if you watch this whole video, I will give you a way to get the first one of my pathworkings absolutely for free. I'm going to give you a special code that you can type in at checkout, and you'll just get that recording absolutely for free, so you can check them out and see if it's something that you actually really want to pursue. I also frequently have sales on these things, so it's a good idea to sign up for my mailing list in general at my site, so that you can most easily get my my sales and stuff, because I often offer as much as like 75% off or something like that for various recordings on my site. So, so basically, my pathworkings are a very unique tool for magical working. They're an opportunity to do magical activities fairly easily, and they're extremely powerful. Just a little bit about my background. I've been a group facilitator and a magical worker for over 20 years, and I've done pathworkings with people for all that time period, and they've always been something that I really enjoy doing with people, but at the same time they often end up feeling a little bit like just psychic tourism. You know, you're basically, you know, led to, you know, a temple or a space that is the color of the thing, and then maybe you meet a pagan god that's associated with the Sephira that you go to, or there's something to do with a tarot card that you pass through. But it really just stays at the level of just sort of like, here's the symbol, and here's the next symbol, and here's the next symbol. And I wanted to create something a little bit different. So I really, while I utilize a lot of symbolic images and regular things that you'd experience in pathworkings, I put a lot more into my pathworkings than just that. First of all, I've got these different tones that I've been using in basically all my recordings for several years, so that there's a specific tone for, in this case, we're looking at sort of like Netzach or Venus here. There's a specific tone for Venus. There's a specific tone for Mercury. There's a specific tone for Saturn. There's a specific tone for Keter. Every single part of my system has a different kind of sound that goes along with it. And what happens when you do the pathworkings is you basically shift from, you know, beginning at Malkut, and then you move up, and you shift through each of the levels. Like, for instance, here we're gonna be going into Netzach in this particular setup that I've got going on here. So we would either shift up. We would either stay at Malkut and go up the side path. It's going to be backwards. The side path to up the path of Kof up to Netzach, or we would be in Yesod and go up the path of Sadi or Hey. I use Sadi in my recordings in case you're interested. And then Pei, you could end up in Hod, and then you go to Netzach. Now, when you're doing my recordings, basically what happens is that you don't just like travel mystically or sonically. You're also asked to kind of confront an aspect of your persona or an aspect of your spiritual body, and to allow it to transform. Now, it doesn't automatically take place, but basically it's an opportunity for you to kind of have the experience of allowing yourself to go through a transformation and to move into a different state of consciousness, eventually into a different stage of consciousness as you utilize it over and over again, to the point where you, for instance, in going into Netzach, in which you sort of open up to that blissful, aesthetic, amazing, energetic state that is the state of being in Venus, that creative, wonderful, amazing, flowing state that is that. You move into it through my suggestions and through the sonic energies that I'm basically putting into each recording. And the interesting thing is, if you work with a lot of my recordings from my site, they all become integrated with one another, so that if you're used to working with the Venusian energy from some other recording that you've heard of mine, then you're going to automatically, as soon as you hear that sound again, you're going to automatically be brought into that state again. It's a very powerful experience. So basically, the way that my recordings work is they have a slightly hypnotic quality to them, although not there's no direct, really hypnotic commands or anything in them, just sort of gentle suggestions leading you in different places. The recordings begin with a quick progressive relaxation and a few deep breaths, just to sort of put you into a state of calm and relaxation. And then there's a Kabbalistic invocation that is both a sort of an induction into an altered state, but at the same time takes you through all the different energies of the 10 spheres of the tree of life, and just powerfully just brings all that energy down into your consciousness, into your body. It's an incredibly empowering invocation that ends with some stuff that's related to the Goetic invocation of the spirits come to me and make all spirits subject unto me, of the ether and of the earth, and all that kind of stuff. It has that component in it. It has some just really wonderful stuff. A little bit's based on the work of Alan Bennett. It's a fantastic invocation that's just very empowering. I love to listen to it myself. And then you then move through the path working, which begins in whatever sphere the path begins in. Then you move into the path itself, and that's where you have the sort of spiritual transformative experience. And then you move to the final sphere where it ends, and you have sort of a glorious entrance into that space in which you interact with the various entities that relate to it, but then just sort of open up to that essence, that state experience of that place. They're really wonderful recordings, and like I said, I'm going to give you one for free if you just listen to the end of this. I'll give you a code that you can go to. But before I let you go, I just want to talk to you about, now you don't have to set all this kind of stuff up here. You can just listen to it, and it's going to have a powerful effect on you anyway. You don't necessarily have to have a full temple set up. But if you want to do something a little bit more, there's a lot of things you can do. First of all, you can set out now you can go about it 3 different ways. You can either set up your temple so that you're in the space that you're beginning in, and then just allow it astrally to be the space that you're going to. You could set it up to be related to the path that you're going to be working on. Or you can set it up, as I've done, in the where you're going to end up is where you set up your temple, and that's just the way. That's my personal preference. I think that it's valid to do any one of those 3 things, and if you want to mess around with it, it's a good experiment. Now you can light candles. I've got green candles here. I've also got my Venus incense, which is what I tend to burn, and for this particular this particular path energy. So there we go. And also you can anoint yourself with an oil that's related to it. You could use an essential oil like benzoin or rose oil or something like that, and anoint yourself, or you can utilize a compound oil like I do. And all of these things add to the process, but they're not totally necessary. Additionally, I've got some of the talismans from the Key of Solomon on here. I also have a talisman of the Archangel Haniel, and talismans for the intelligence and spirit of Venus. And I'm also wearing my lamen here. This is not a required element of it. You could also, if you wanted to wear a different lamen, you could wear a lamen that just has the kamea of the planet that you're going to, or again, something that's symbolic of the energy that you're traveling of the path, or the energy of where you're beginning. All of those are valid ways of approaching it. And any pieces of these that you want to, you can add into it, and any pieces that you don't really have to. Additionally, I'm sitting in a circle that is made up of the rose cross here because of the fact that all of the elements of this particular working have to do with the Hebrew alphabet. So basically, to get to the end of this, I have 22 of these recordings. A lot of people say, oh, but Jason, there's 32 paths. How come you don't have 32 recordings? And the reason for that is because I so strongly end you up in the sphere that you're going to, that to me it just seems superfluous to have you have a whole one that's just dedicated to those, since you're spending a significant amount of time in them through the path workings themselves. So that is my basic discussion of these recordings, and some of the things that you can set up to make them more of a specifically magical operation. I also recommend bathing before you do it, so that you're coming into it from a very pure place, but you don't absolutely have to do that if you don't choose to. But so here's the deal. I would like to give you the first one, which is the 32nd path of Tau, and so if you follow the link in the description of this video, and I'll also probably put it in the comments as well, and put in at checkout, if you put in all capital letters with one word, free path, FREEPATH, you're gonna it'll become free. The financial part of it will disappear. You also don't need to give me your mailing address if you don't want to, but you do have to kind of fill it out in some way or another. But the free path, FREEPATH, will allow you to have the Path of Tau recording of this, and all of the recordings are fairly similar to each other. They all contain the progressive relaxation. They all contain that Kabbalist invocation, and it's only once you get into the inner temple and you start working with the rising to the different spheres that they start changing around. But they're very powerful. They're wonderful. You know, I don't mean to sound egotistical about them. They were you know, an inspiration that I had. I don't want to take personal credit for them too much. Oh, they also the Kabbalistic invocation, interestingly enough, also has the Greek vowel sounds within it for the different planetary energies, which is an interesting component that you'll hear in the background. So anyway, free path, go ahead to my website and download it for free, and I hope that you enjoy it. And like I said, I'll probably offer a sale on the whole thing pretty soon too, so don't worry about the price tag. Okay, see you later.